There comes a moment when something inside you awakens. A moment when you stop shrinking and start expanding. When that moment hits, the universe hears it. I feel the sunrise in my chest tonight, like every hidden star.
So we were talking about tomboy versus sissy, and just generally like labeling even children,
Yes.
which has always been something that stood out to me, even as I had my own son and some of the things he would come home and tell me other kids were saying about him. I'm like, why can't a child just be a child and be whimsical and enjoy the beauty that is childlike behavior, which is learning to express who you are?
I wish I had the opportunity to grow up as my authentic self. And you spoke earlier about, kind of, taking my shine or whatever, and I became almost robotic. One, it was exhausting presenting masculinely. It was constant self-checking. How are my hand mannerisms? How am I walking? Am I walking like a boy, walking like a girl? I used to naturally just carry books like this. I learned, well, boys aren't supposed to carry books like that. So it was constantly, I would naturally go to do things the way I naturally do. It was like, stop, don't do that. Do it the boys' way.
So you're constantly monitoring your own behaviors.
Literally, up until the time I transitioned, it was a constant, am I sitting like when I put my arm, like, let's say, is my hand like this? Or is it like a more masculine presentation? How are my legs? Are they kind of getting too close to where it's crossed, like,
I see plenty of men. That's the interesting part. Like I see plenty of men that cross their legs.
And see, when I was growing up, it was literally like girls cross like this and men cross, like across the top.
Yeah, like a
And
square.
so a lot of that was ingrained in me. And yeah, I would notice, well, some things have changed. And as I noticed things, sometimes I pushed the boundaries of androgyny, but that's about as far as I felt safe going, was um, not in broad daylight presenting as Amber. That was kind of in the dark recesses, corners.
So was Amber always the name?
Amber's been my name since I was like in my 20s.
Okay.
My first wife, we had a child, and if the child was born a girl, she wanted to name her Amber. And so it's kind of like, I like that name. And our relationship really wasn't all that great. And I'm like, oh, she hated the girl in me. So it's like, well, I'm going to be Amber. And so I thought it was kind of funny because the first time I went out as my authentic self, and they asked, and my dead name starts with a D, and that's about as far as I go. And the bartender asked what my name was, and I was like, all I could think was like D. It's just like first letter of my name is like D. But I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want that. And so then I ended up settling on Amber, and I've been Amber ever since. I was AF before AF was cool.
I know. I love that.
So do I.
So just to clarify, she also has an author page, and it's
AF Rose.
Yeah, so I was giving you the opportunity to say so.
Yeah, my name's Amber Foreman. So that was I have a full body rose tattoo. First started here. I thought I was going to start with lower back, but I thought I'd go small. So I did here and on my back. It was like, okay, I'm good getting tattoos. And so I decided to do lower back, but I immediately had this vision of it all being connected, going down to my ankle, and eventually making its way out to my wrist. And it's like a lot of people like, why didn't you change your name to Rose? So I thought, well, how perfect. I like my initials AF. And everybody's always said, like with my rose tattoo and my affinity for roses, I should name myself Rose. So I did name myself Rose. My author name is AF Rose.
Yes, and she has a book in the works and will be likely finished and published by June. And the whole goal is to get out in front of Pride Week. And there's different Pride Weeks across the country, and we're going to travel and do a bunch of book signings and have Amber out there making an appearance, doing book signings, meeting and greeting people. And what I love about Amber is that she is a positive influence for the transgender community. She's out here doing great things and is very positive towards other people too, and not just the transgender community, but I've seen her show so much love and support to the people around her. And ultimately, that is the kind of people that I want to work with for sure, is other uplifting people who have more than just themselves that they're looking out for, that they have the best interest of the people around them. So
I'm very pro woman too. A lot of transgender people set this standard for themselves of passing. It's never been my goal, and especially after I transitioned, I just want to be the best version of myself based on my standards.
right.
When I look in the mirror in the morning, do I feel like I'm a little better version of myself today than yesterday? Passing in the transgender community is the same artificial standard that society puts on women in the first place. Some artificial man-made, big capital man-made standard of what beauty is. And I don't think women should ascribe to that, and I don't think transgender women should ascribe to an artificial standard of passing. I think you're giving your skin, and you need to figure out how to be comfortable in your skin based on how you feel about yourself. And having that good feeling about yourself in itself is beautiful. Like, a lot of people compliment me my vibe, which I don't really know where
You
that
do
comes
have
from.
the coolest vibe.
Um,
You're very like, you've got this aura about you that's so chill and laid back, and it's very welcoming. Some people, when their guard is up, or they are, whether they are male, female, transgender, sometimes even without having a label of LGBTQ plus in front of it, some of us are masking, period. And when you
yes.
mask, you have a wall up, and it prevents people from really seeing your true authenticity, and it doesn't allow you to shine your brightest. So oftentimes it's harder to get a read on somebody when their guard is up and your guard is not up. It's wonderful to be around. I enjoy your company, your ability to be, I've seen you interact with all types of people, and that says a lot about who you are. That means that people feel comfortable in your presence, and that's something that I think all people should aspire to be, is your authentic self, whatever that looks like.
And that would not be the sense you would get if you interacted with the character I was portraying. It was not me at all. I was very reserved. A lot of times, spent a lot of time walking with my eyes down at the ground, not making eye contact with people.
Was it
Um,
out of shame or fear?
I think it's a combination of everything. I felt like I had to keep the world at arm's distance. If I let anybody get too close, they would discover my secret, which means, and you know, keep in mind, I started off as physical fear. We didn't even get into it, but that gravitated into financial fear. I started making really good money. And once the internet came about, I started reading the statistics on transgender people. You know, the average mortality rate was very low. I mean, when I was in my 20s, mortality rate of an openly transgender person was like in their 30s, which actually isn't too far off of a black transgender woman today. It's much harder life for them even today. But the overall average was in the 30s back then. And a lot of it was because it was a harsh life. If you were openly transgender, it was likely you're going to be homeless, unemployed, or at best underemployed. And that probably meant you're working in some greasy kitchen in some dark corner where the public wasn't going to see you because somebody happened to be kind enough to give you that, or because you would work for less than minimum wage and say you're cheap help. It was not a good prospect. I started making good money, and I did start making this trade off of sacrificing my authenticity for economic security. At the end of the day, if you ask me now, do I think it was worth it? I'm not so sure it was, but it was the choice I made. And up until the last president, not the current one, the last one, I could be fired just because I'm transgender. Only reason an employer needed to fire me was the fact I was transgender. That's it. And then I actually had job place protections under the last president. Didn't have that much to do with why I came out, but it certainly helped when I came out. The fact knowing I actually came out with an "I don't give a shit" attitude. Sorry, viewers, if you're offended by that, but it is what it is. I literally didn't give a shit how anybody thought about it. I had cancer, and part of that experience made me like think about my life. And very quickly, it was like my whole life, all I've ever thought about, so many waking moments, was what it would like to live authentically. To get up, go to work as Amber, come home, go to the store, do whatever, just be myself. Thought about it so much. And we talked about my makeup, my closet, and all that. That's 62 years of thinking. You've been able to do you all you want. So you've been able to put into your life whatever you want to. You've been able to put whatever makeup, whatever jewelry, whatever clothes. If you want to put do stuff in it, you've been able to do whatever you want your whole life.
It's true.
I've been cramming 62 years into 3 years. So yes, I've got a lot of stuff.
No, I mean, certainly that was my perspective. Walking through your house was my higher knowing knew that was likely the reason, but I'm not going to assume that, you know.
Oh, you know that.
My perception was you spent so many years of your life having to identify in a way that did not resonate, and that if I were you, I would go ape shit too. I would be like, I'm getting every makeup I've ever wanted. I'm going to buy the shoes. I'm going to get the clothes, the lingerie. I'm going to do all the things and live authentically as myself, because time is not finite, at least
Yes.
in this 3D world that we live. We do have, it's infinite possibilities, but time ends for all of us here.
One thing's a certainty. I'm 65 now. I'm fairly certain I'm not going to live another 65 years.
There's a possibility,
But you know what I'm saying? I am.
You would look very, very, very old.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that most people put my age much younger. I've been, pegging people are dead serious in my 30s and my 40s. They're shocked when I tell them I'm 65. It's just like disbelief. I'm fortunate, but I'm not going to have these looks forever. You know what I mean? It's just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've always lived by the belief is I appreciate if you see my beauty on a physical level. However, I always stress the importance of knowing the real value in beauty and not in the physical, in the sense that be a beautiful person inside as well. Yes. And that lasts.
Yeah, one of the things that I tend to say is kindness is free. Mm-hmm. It costs absolutely nothing. Why not give it away very, very liberally? It takes no effort. And typically, though, if you do it from pure heart, you're going to get so much return on that kindness. And again, I'm not kind because I want something in return. I've just arrived at a point where that tends to be my nature. But also, there's a transgender person, Alec Vaidman, that I think highly of. And they had said, and I was it resonated with me because my mind was already going there. But they had said, like, we all have the same one thing in common with everybody we come into contact with. We're all dying. Mm-hmm. And if we view people, every single contact we make throughout the day, that person's dying, then we have two choices. We can make their journey to death harder, or we can make it easier.
And do you want the last thing you say to that person to be something that could make their life better and more meaningful? Or do you want the last conversation you have with someone to be something that you are tormented by?
Exactly. And being kind is so easy. Why not just try and make everybody's journey a little easier? Mm-hmm. Instead of leading with meanness. It's kind of funny. One of the sites I follow is No Hate. You wouldn't believe how many haters are on there.
Well, there's always trolls.
Why are you on this site? Why?
Well, I recently learned that Facebook literally has bots in place.
Oh yeah.
And so, like, anything that is even remotely controversial, so like you and I having this conversation, I put up the site and I put up our interviews, they will have a bot where how you'll know it's a bot is you go and click on the profile. It's got like 3 pictures and it was created yesterday kind of thing. There's not a real profile. But those bots are literally created to stir up hateful comments, which is so interesting to me because if you have the power to do that, why not use it to create positivity versus negativity? Why create something that instills hatred and recreate more hateful comments? So that's the whole point, is they will put these comments in the bottom. It'll start something like, they'll say something awful about a transgender person, and then really all out of the woodwork comes all the people that have the same views, and they drive your post to the people that they know feel a certain way about what you're talking about. Now, if you had that kind of power and you knew you had the ability to do that, why not do it, but in the reverse?
Yeah, and
I'll never understand that.
I think I understand it. I don't like it, but one, controversy sells. And if you look, I mean, we're a society built on conflict. We may not call it conflict, but what's a football game? It's organized conflict. What's a baseball game? It's organized conflict. What's hockey? It's organized conflict. What's Democratic Party versus Republican Party?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee there's really only one party, and it's the party of the rich.
But why do you think it bothers people so much? Why is the conversation of transgender women specifically, I feel like the target is a little bit more geared towards transgender women than it is any other?
In my experience, this is my personal experience, and
why is the target on your back
I've got
specifically?
thousands of events that would back me up, and typically when it's an actual troll, and I point this out, they disappear. The loudest voices against transgender women tend to be straight men, conservative straight men that fantasize about being with a transgender woman. Most of them don't want to be with me. I've fully transitioned. They actually want a chick with a dick is in their mindset. They want the
I've
they
seen
want to
I've seen the
explore.
advertisements.
Yeah, they want to explore some latent homosexuality, but feel like
They're still with a woman.
okay, they're not gay because they're with a woman. But that is, and like I said, I've had thousands, even today. It's like, do you not read my profile? Stop. I'm not what you're looking for. But yeah.
Do you find that frustrating that people try to fetishize the person that you feel that you genuinely are? Does it bother you when you want to get to know somebody and they only want to get to know you because it's part of like a fetish?
It used to bother me more. Now I just think of it as an opportunity for a third book, because I think it'll be that book. The book I'm writing now is a mixture of intense joy and intense sorrow, and I feel like a triumph in the end. That book will be like a comedy. Like, I couldn't make this stuff up.
Just pull the comments off of Facebook.
My interactions with different people, and kind of how they view, and really, a lot of it, there's almost an even split between men that look at me and all they do is look at my pictures and they tell me I'm a beautiful woman, sexy, gorgeous, you name it, boom, down the list. Have you read my profile? And then they disappear. Because I am only a beautiful woman without the word transgender being put in between. I'm not a beautiful transgender woman. So once transgender registers, it takes their view of me being beautiful out. That's like saying a beautiful black woman can't be beautiful if you put the word black in, or beautiful Hispanic woman can't be beautiful if you put, or any other label. Beautiful white woman can't be beautiful if you put the word white in. I am a beautiful woman. I don't need somebody else to validate that. I think that's where
And
I
we do that as again, the society's stigma. It's not just with transgender people, but we do that a lot where we continue to have to labelize people or label them. It's like you're describing your friend, and you wouldn't do it if it were your group of white friends, but if they're another um, race,
yes,
you imply that into your sentence. And why do you treat that differently than any of your other groups of friends? Why can't it just be your friend so and so, and you describe them the same way you would if you were describing?
exactly. And I
I
actually
see
try to
this
do that because
I see this a lot, and I think like the more we practice as a society to remove certain labels, and
demographic adjectives.
yes, it just unites us as people
Yes, and
versus this transgender person, this white girl, this bisexual, this, you name it. Like we do it all the time: fat person, skinny person, whatever. Removing the labels and just treating people like people, and literally talking to people as if they are just a human being. That's how we win.
yeah, and I don't care about my label. I am proud to be a transgender woman. But I do wish people would let that be my story and not their story. So again, I've had men that initially read me as a woman. And
Okay.
again, it's not what I'm going for, but I've been told before, like, when I look at you, why do you say you're a transgender woman? When I look at you, I see all girl. And um, there's a couple of reasons. One, I hid in the closet of masculinity my whole life. I hid the fact I was a transgender woman. When I came out, I decided that I was going to be proud of who I am. I'm not going to hide in another closet. I'm not trading the closet of masculinity for the closet of femininity. So I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be an individual, but I am going to own the fact I'm a transgender woman. I'm going to be proud of who I am. And I've arrived there. And the other thing is, once I start moving into transgender advocacy, it's kind of hard to do transgender advocacy out of lived experience if you hide the fact you're transgender. So all the more I want to be a loud, proud transgender woman.
Absolutely.
But again,
But it's
I
not
want
your
that to be
whole
my
it's not your
yes,
whole identity, is what I'm getting at. Is your identity isn't wrapped up solely in the fact that you are transgender. Yes, you are, but that is not your entire identity. And I was more focusing on the idea that, like, does it bother you that once they realize that you are transgender, they no longer find interest? Because then it shows that they weren't really interested in you as a person.
I don't even have that in the workplace. Like there's been men that had casual interaction with me, and then they go tell somebody about this like really beautiful woman they saw, and the person will respond, "Oh, you mean the transgender?" And I can just the next time I'm in close contact, I can just see their whole demeanor has changed. So
Why is that an important detail, is what you're
yeah,
asking?
well, again, I have no problem telling that I'm a transgender woman. They would hear it from my own mouth if given the opportunity. That's my story to tell. And when somebody else does it, I can do it in a way, hopefully, that resonates with the person. And they might not want to date me, which I don't probably don't want to date them either. But I might be able to develop a friendship with them if they weren't prejudiced against me 10 seconds after they met me because somebody interjected that into the conversation. Now, whatever predispositions they have based on news, based on politicians, based on their parents, whatever things they've carried into that moment and their thoughts on transgender people, they've now framed me in that they've taken the opportunity away from me to let that person get to know me a little bit as a person.
Yeah,
Find out
absolutely.
I've got a pretty good sense of humor. I smell pretty good. I've got really cool hair, or whatever it is about me. I have a cool vibe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Let that resonate with the person, and let me tell them when they say something, let me respond, oh, well, I did that shortly after I transitioned. Well, what do you mean? Well, I had cancer and I transitioned, and I've been openly a transgender woman for 3.5 years, and then let them say like, "Wow, I didn't know until you told me."
Yeah, to me, I understand what you're saying too, because I take that as like, how sometimes you have a person that's tries to warn you about somebody that they met, right? They're like, I don't like this person for whatever their reasoning is. Well, I may keep it in mind. I always try to go in and allow the person, because someone's interaction is not the same as my interaction.
Exactly.
And I feel like just because they may feel a certain way, the person that goes and tells somebody else that you're transgender it's similar to that. It's like your interaction or feelings based on that may not be their feelings, but you're like eliminating the possibility right
Yes.
out the gate.
And again, you're introducing whatever baggage that particular person's carrying based on societal views that were ingrained in them.
Absolutely.
Statistically, people that know a transgender person are more accepting and more open to equality for a transgender person than people that don't. I mean, it's like off the board statistics. Even amongst conservative people, maybe 4% are accepting of the transgender community and feel that we're entitled to the same rights. Whereas, conservatives that have interacted with people like me and found out I'm not the monster that everybody told them I was, their acceptance of me and their view on me having equal rights goes up to like 50 something percent. That's like a night and day difference.
I found it really interesting when I interviewed my friend Sadie, how many, you know who she is,
Yes,
and
yes.
she, a fantastically beautiful woman, just like you
Mhm.
are, very kind, gentle human. And the amount of comments that were saying things like about mental health and being pedophiles, and I'm like, there are plenty of people, first of all, I looked at the statistics actually that had to do with the likelihood of a transgender. It's not to say that they don't exist in the transgender community, but it's actually like incredibly small in comparison to your everyday men and women that are right in front of you.
Yeah, and
It's like, so because of one thing they have to be another, and that really, like, I spent a whole day like trying to defend the comments. I was like, oh my god, what's happening? Because I know this person and I think that they're
please don't defend that. I'll defend myself.
I know.
I will. No,
You know
just
what I'm
saying.
saying? Like, just
No, I
trying
know
to
that.
trying to in a I would ask them more open-ended questions, meaning like they would say something and then I would try and say like, well, what in your experience made you feel that way? But it was my way of like, because I don't want to step into a fight that's not technically mine. But at the same time, I'm like, what in the world? Where in the world from this 30-second reel that wasn't even talking about that? How did we get to transgender people or pedophiles? Like that's insane to me.
And that's something that's mass marketed to them. Women should be afraid of transgender women. I gotta tell you, men attack women every day. There's probably been 20 women attacked and raped by a man just in the time we've been talking. I guarantee there's been 0 attacked and raped by transgender women. So when a man looking like a man can just attack a woman at will, why are they going to look like this and go through all this just to be able to go in a woman's restroom and attack the woman? Like how absurd it is. But yet there's hundreds of thousands of people out there that believe that.
It's true. And how much time do you like look at the camera and look how gorgeous you are? Like how much time do you spend getting yourself together every day?
Today was probably my hour and a half routine.
Okay.
Some days 2.5 hours spent. I'm not wearing full makeup today. Today's more my work look, so I did do some eyeshadow and very, very light foundation. No blush, no highlight, no contour, no glitter. I love my glitter.
You do an amazing glitter eye. Yes, you do.
My hair is almost, shake it out of the shower. Quick curl just right here on both sides because
low maintenance. I love that.
Yeah, the white doesn't hold the curl as well. And get dressed and all that. But it takes time. I'm not going to go through all that effort to, if I could, because there's nothing there that could attack a woman. Just saying. But it's
Yeah.
never been a motivation. I don't know one single transgender woman that's a motivation. Again, men are not going to go through that effort to rape a woman. They've already raped a bunch while we're talking without doing that. Why would they do that? It's a ludicrous argument. I have more women that keep me in women's restrooms. I just want to get, I'm like any woman. I get into with this lady. Love your hair.
Mm-hmm.
You smell really nice. What's that perfume?
We do have
Whatever
a
it is.
problem with that. You make some of your best friends standing in line at the ladies' room.
Yeah, and it's like, so I am not, there to do anything other than my business, but women, and there'll be women like, in rest stops and traveling with kids in there. They are not at all afraid of me in there, and again, they're engaging me and like, love your boots, love your, whatever it is, and where you from or whatever. And next thing you know, like, we've been hanging out in the restroom for 15 minutes. It's me. I'm ready to get back on the road, but I want to be kind and they're nice and all that, but they're not afraid of me. They're not in fear for their kids.
So this is really a narrative that is being spun from where? Because this is like a conversation that comes up a lot. The bathroom thing, that's actually what the post was initially. I think you knew that.
Yeah.
But this is a narrative that's being spun that like transgender people are dangerous to the straight community, straight women specifically. And I'll tell you what, if you walked into the bathroom, I would probably do exactly what, like, because you're always got like fancy jewelry on and you're always dressed really cool. I would definitely be the person asking you like, where'd you get your boots? I love your shoes. I love your eyelash, whatever. She's always does her makeup and her eyes are always like done to the nines. So it's weird to me that this is like a narrative that is being spun out in the world.
So if I give you some statements, and these are attributed quotes, I'll just give you a handful. There's more than I can remember. This group of people is against the devil. It's from the devil. It's against God. They're going to ruin America. They are subversive. They are a threat to our society. I can keep going. What group of people am I talking about?
Satanists, right?
No.
Oh, okay. You said they worship the devil.
No, they're of the devil.
Of the devil, pagans?
Those attributes are things I've read about men. I've read politicians say those very things about me.
Oh, really?
That I'm evil. I'm going to corrupt society. We've been called domestic terrorists now by our president and our president's children.
The threat is real
Yes.
to them, huh?
All those comments I read you were comments that came out of pulpits and out of politicians' mouths in the 50s.
Wow.
About black people. They have repackaged the same talking points they used in America about black people in the 50s, and now they're spewing them out from the pulpits and from politicians' mouths talking about the transgender community.
Right.
We're the great evil of society today. I wish we're 1% of the population, folks. I wish we were that powerful because we would change a lot of laws if we had that much power.
That is still and you're not wrong, because again, like, I've had the privilege of having similar conversations, and it's true. They needed a new whipping child.
Exactly. We are the current distraction.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Politicians, if you look at a whole, forget parties, they are all very, very rich.
Yeah.
And if you look at their salary, which is public record, you have to scratch your head and say, well, how can they own 5 houses worth $5 million, making $125,000, $35,000, whatever, a year, right? And they can do things that if we did, it'd be called insider trading, and we go to jail, and they do that with impunity. they need the American population distracted so that we don't pay attention to stuff like that.
Yes, because as long as we are divided, we will never be
The more division we
united.
can create, the more little subgroups, you know, we can get everybody. And that's why right off the bat,
Hatred is the fastest weed to grow. And really, we are meant to spread light. We're here to be the light we want to see in the world. And
Is opening the door where the higher self I couldn't see now stands wide awake inside of me. Every heartbeat feels like elevation.